So in this lecture, I would like to discuss about the nature of the metal ligand bond. We know how the coordination compounds are formed. The coordination compounds are formed by the combination between metal and ligand. The metal ion or metal atom linked to the ligand, or number of the ligands are attached to the metal. Okay, so these are the two main parts of the coordination compounds, metal and ligand. So what is the nature of the bond between the metal and the ligand? What is the nature of the bond between the metal and the ligand? Actually, Warner coordination theory explained the concept of secondary valency. The secondary valencies are linked to the central metal atom or ion in a complex. So according to the Warner coordination theory, uh, the secondary valencies are existing. So it provides an adequate explanation for the existence of the complexes. The Warner coordination theory provides the adequate explanation for the complexes. For example, this complex CONH36Cl3. So according to the Warner coordination theory, we know that the 6 ammonia molecules are the secondary valencies and 3 chloride ions are the primary valencies. And these 6 secondary valencies are linked to the metal. And there is a coordination between the cobalt and 6 ammonia molecules. But actually, the Warner coordination theory could not explain the nature of the bond between metal and the ligand. What is the nature of the bond between the metal and the ligand? Of course, Warner coordination theory has explained so many things. Warner coordination theory explain about primary valencies. Warner coordination theory explain about coordination number. It explain about secondary valency, that is non-ionizable valency. Primary valency, that is ionizable valency. But finally, on conclusion, we can say that Warner coordination theory could not explain the nature of the bond between the metal and the ligand. Okay. So Warner coordination theory fails to explain this. It fails to explain this. Okay. Later on, according to the Lewis theory explains something about the bond between the metal and the ligand. So according to the Lewis theory, a base is the electron pair donor and an acid is the electron pair acceptor. A base is a electron pair donor and acid is the electron pair acceptor. For example, suppose ammonia molecule is a base, because ammonia molecule, it is the electron pair donor, this. So it is a base. And metal atom, it is a acid, Lewis acid, because it will accept the electron. So according to the Lewis theory, base is a electron pair donor and acid is a electron pair acceptor. So in complexes, ligands were considered as a Lewis bases. Ligands were considered as a Lewis bases. They are Lewis bases. And metal atom is considered as a Lewis acid, because they are accepting the electrons. And there is a formation of the coordinate covalent bond between the metal and the ligand. There is a formation of coordinate covalent bond between the metal and the ligand. Okay. So how that coordinate covalent bond is existing between the metal and the ligand? Let us see now. This is very important one. According to the Lewis theory, a base is a electron pair donor. So all the ligands are bases, as they are giving the electrons to the metal. and metal atom or ion accepting the electron from the ligand. So they are supposed to be Lewis acid, and metal and ligand form a coordinate covalent bond. So let us show this. So in this between the metal and the ligand, now you can see here the ligand, it is donating the electron pair to the metal because it is a Lewis base, and metal atom, it is a Lewis acid accepting the electron. So coordination is developed, and the bond between the metal and the ligand, it is a coordinate covalent bond. It is a coordinate covalent bond, sigma bond, coordinate covalent bond. Okay. So it is clear that now the bond between the metal and the ligand, it is a coordinate covalent bond. Now theories of coordination compounds. There are many theories who has explained about the coordination compounds. Warner was the first who has given so many ideas about the coordination compounds. Warner was the first who was explained many things about the coordination compounds. Okay. So the pioneer was the Warner. But after the Warner theory, there are so many theories was developed. Okay. So let us see here which are the theories developed there. So you can see at present there are 4 theories to explain the nature of the bonding and properties of the coordination compounds. First one, it is valence bond theory, VBT. Second one, it is crystal field theory. Third one, it is molecular orbital theory. Fourth one, it is ligand field theory. But in the SYS BSc syllabus, only valence bond theory is existing. So let us going to be explain the valence bond theory. On the basis of the valence bond theory, what is the nature of the bond between the metal and the ligand? We want to explain about this valence bond theory. Okay. So the first successful application of the valence bond theory to coordination compound was made by Linnaeus Pauling, name of the scientist, Linnaeus Pauling, in 1930. Explain the valence bond theory. So this theory is mainly concerned with the nature of the bonding. What is the nature of the bond between the metal and the ligand? So valence bond theory has suggested some ideas, because at that time no one has given any idea about the nature of the bond between the metal and the ligand. So valence bond theory that was suggested by the Linnaeus Pauling, okay, in 1930. So valence bond theory suggested some assumptions regarding to the bonding in the coordination compounds. Valence bond theory suggested some assumptions regarding to the bonding in the coordination compounds. Okay. The fundamentals of valence bond theory already explained in chapter 1 in the same 3. Now that valence bond theory is applicable for complex compounds. So let us see the assumptions of the valence bond theory. Okay. So assumptions. First assumption is that the central metal atom or ion makes available number of orbitals equal to its coordination number. What is the requirement for the formation of the bond between the metal and the ligand? The requirement is that the central metal atom or ion makes available number of orbitals equal to its coordination number. For example, let us take the example of this complex CONH36, Cl3. So in this complex, coordination number of this cobalt 3 plus ion, coordination number, it is 6. Okay, because 6 ammonia molecules are linked to the cobalt, and 6 ammonia molecules are the secondary valences. Okay, so central metal cobalt ion makes available number of orbitals equal to its coordination number. So coordination number are 6 here. So central metal atom or ion create vacant orbitals for the formation of the covalent bonds with the suitable ligand orbitals. First assumption is very, very important here. What is the first assumption? The central metal atom or ion makes available number of orbitals. Available number of orbitals equal to its coordination number. Now in this complex ion, coordination number is 6. Okay. So the central metal cobalt ion create, or it will make 6 orbitals. For what purpose? For the formation of the covalent bonds with the suitable ligand orbitals. Okay. Then second assumption, the metal orbitals hybridize. The metal orbitals hybridize to form orbitals of equivalent energy called hybrid orbitals. So hybridization process is takes place here. The first assumption is that the metal orbitals get hybridized. The second assumption, the first assumption is that the central metal atom or ion create the vacant orbitals for the formation of the covalent bonds. And second assumption is that the central metal orbitals hybridize. Once the orbitals are there, that orbitals get hybridized to form orbitals of equivalent energy. We know what is the need of the hybridization. That is known to us. What is the need of the hybridization? Okay. So central metal ion will, the central metal ion, the orbitals of the central metal ion get hybridized here. This is the second assumption now. Then the third assumption is that each ligand possesses at least one sigma orbital with lone pair of electrons. We know that there is a bond between the central metal atom and the ligand. There is a bond between the central metal atom and the ligand. Okay. Ligands are donating the electron pairs to the central metal. And on the basis of the valence bond theory, this bond, it is a coordinate covalent bond. What is the nature of the bond? It is a coordinate covalent bond. On the basis of the valence bond theory, this bond, it is a coordinate covalent bond. So for the formation of the coordinate covalent bond between the metal and the ligand, according to the first assumption, the central metal atom create the vacant orbitals. Central metal atom create the vacant orbitals for the accommodation of the electrons donated by the ligands. And second assumption is that the orbitals of the metal get hybridized. Now the third assumption, each ligand possesses at least one sigma orbital. Ligands are also having the sigma orbital with a lone pair of electrons. Okay. Third assumption, fourth assumption, vacant hybrid orbital of the metal overlaps the filled sigma orbital of the ligand. The vacant hybrid orbital of the metal overlaps with filled sigma orbital of the ligand, and there is a formation of the covalent bond. That is coordinate covalent bond. There is a formation of the covalent bond or coordinate covalent bond. Okay. So the number of the covalent bonds are formed between the central metal atom and the ligand, and it is equal to the coordination number of the metal. If the coordination number of the metal is 6, 6 covalent bonds are formed here. For example, take the example of this complex CONH36. CONH36, coordination number, it is here 6. So central metal, it is having six vacant orbitals, and there are 6 covalent bonds between the metal and the ligand. Okay, 6 number of the covalent bonds are there. and central metal atom or ion is having 6 vacant orbitals, and each ligand is having 1 sigma orbital, and there is a overlapping between the metal hybrid orbitals with filled sigma orbital of the ligand. These orbitals are filled because they are having the electrons. Metal orbitals are empty because they are taking the electron from the ligand, and there is a formation of the coordinate covalent bond between the metal and the ligand. Okay, so ligands are Lewis bases, metals are Lewis acid. So electrons are of course coming from the ligand to the metal. Ligand is the electron pair donor, that is known to us. So ligands are placing their electrons into the vacant orbitals of the central metal atom. Okay, so later on we can show this. So according to the fourth assumption, the vacant orbital, hybrid orbital of the metal overlaps with filled sigma orbital of the ligand. Okay, so fifth assumption, covalent bond formation results in release of some energy. Some energy is given out. Sixth assumption, strongest covalent bond is formed when there is a maximum overlapping of the atomic orbitals. The bond between the metal and the ligand will be strongest when the overlapping between the metal orbitals and the ligand orbitals will be stronger. Okay, so these are the 6 assumptions on the basis of the valence bond theory. So valence bond theory suggested that the bond between the metal and the ligand, it is coordinate covalent bond. The ligands are electron donor species. They are giving the electrons in the vacant hybrid orbital of the central metal atom, and the vacant hybrid orbital of the central metal atom get overlap with the sigma orbital, filled sigma orbital of the ligand, and there is a formation of the coordinate covalent bond. Okay, so on the basis of these assumptions that is just discussed by us, valence bond theory has been able to account for many stereochemical and magnetic properties of coordination compounds. On the basis of that assumptions, we can explain the magnetic properties of the coordination compounds, stereochemical properties of the coordination compounds. Okay, so by knowing the magnetic behavior of the complex, it is possible to predict the number of the unpaired electrons. It is possible to predict the type of the hybridization. It is possible to predict the geometry of the complex. It means that we can understand so many things about the complex. So that's why valence bond theory is very, very important one. Okay, so on the basis of these assumptions now, let us going to be explain this topic, inner and outer orbital complexes. Inner and outer orbital complexes. So later on we will explain this inner and or outer orbital complexes. First of all, I would like to apply the valence bond theory to the coordination number 4 complexes. Application of valence bond theory. Our topic it is application of valence bond theory to coordination number 4 complexes. So let us see here what is the application of VBT. Application of VBT. Application of VBT to coordination number 4. Coordination number, it is equal to 4. Coordination number 4 complexes. So let us take the example of the complex. NiCl4. NiCl4 2 minus. Name of the complex, it is tetrachloro. Nickelate. Second ion. Nickelate second ion. This is the name of IUPAC nomenclature of the complex. So application of the valence bond theory to this complex now, coordination number 4, because there are 4 chloro ligands are linked to the central metal. So we can show this structure also. 4 chloro ligands are linked to the central metal nickel 2 plus ion. Okay. And there is a coordinate covalent bond between the metal and the ligand, and each ligand donate 1 electron pair to the central metal. So chloro ligand, it is supposed to be the Lewis base, and central metal nickel 2 plus, it is a Lewis acid. Okay, and there are 4 covalent bonds. 4 covalent bonds are formed here. Coordination number, it is equal to 4. So 4 number of the covalent bonds are formed here. So let us apply the valence bond theory. First assumption, in the central metal ion, uh, there are 4 vacant orbitals. So first of all, let us write nickel. Atomic number of the nickel 28. It is having the electronic configuration argon 3d8 4s2 4p0. This is the electronic configuration of the nickel atom. Now in this complex ion, oxidation state of the nickel, it is 2 plus. So nickel 2 plus ion. So 2 electrons are less here. Oxidation state, it is 2 plus here, x minus 4, it is equal to minus 2, so x equal to plus 2. So its electronic configuration, nickel dipositive ion, it is having the electronic configuration 3d8 4s0, now 2 electrons less, and 4p0. Now let us write the electronic configuration of the nickel ion in ground state. Ground state electronic configuration, nickel 2 plus ion in the ground state. So it can be written as 3d orbital. 3d orbitals are 5d orbitals. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5. 4s orbital is 1 and 4p orbitals are 3. 1 2 3. Okay, so this is 3d, 4s and 4p. Now we have to see how many electrons are here. 1 2 3, 8 electrons. 4 5 6 7 8. 2 electrons are unpaired. According to the valence bond theory, the central metal atom create, or it has vacant orbitals. You can see 1 2 3 4. 4 vacant orbitals are already having, and 4 ligands are coordinated to the nickel 2 plus ion. Okay, 4 chloroligands are coordinated to the nickel 2 plus ion. So this metal ion is already having the 4 vacant orbitals. So 4 ligand can place their 4 electron pairs into these vacant orbitals. So the vacant orbitals of the central metal ion are get hybridized. So in this complex ion, NiCl4 minus. Let us show the hybridization here and what is the arrangement here we can show. Okay, hybridization and arrangement. So 1 2 3 4 5. So these electrons are remains as it, no change. Okay, 7 8, a 3d orbital. Now 4s orbital, it is vacant, so it is involved in the hybridization, and 4p 4p orbitals are also vacant. 4 orbitals are vacant here, and ligand are placed their electrons in these vacant orbitals. Ligands are placed their electrons in these vacant orbitals. So this is 4s orbital, this is 4p orbital. So hybridization, it is sp3. So central metal ion in the complex undergoes sp3 hybridization, and these are the electrons donated by the ligand, chloroligands. Electrons donated by the ligand, chloroligands. Okay, and there is a formation of 4 covalent bonds. This is 1, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and hybridization, it is sp3. So central nickel 2 plus metal ion, central nickel 2 plus metal ion undergoes which hybridization? sp3 hybridization. So valence bond theory also explains the hybridization concept. 1s and 3p orbitals are involved in the hybridization. This is 1s and 3p orbital, and in these hybrid orbitals, vacant hybrid orbitals, the 4 ligands are placing their electrons here. Each ligand is having 1 electron pair. So 4 ligands are having 4 electron pairs. So that 4 electron pairs can be placed into the vacant orbitals, vacant hybrid orbitals. So this NiCl4 2 minus complex ion shows sp3 hybridization, and on the basis of the sp3 hybridization we can explain the geometry of the complex. We can explain the geometry of the complex. So as this complex is having geometry hybridization sp3, so it is having the geometry tetrahedral. For sp3 hybridization geometry, it is tetrahedral. Okay. So this arrangement shows that sp3 hybridization, so geometry of the complex is tetrahedral. So this is the tetrahedral geometry. Already we have represent the structure here, structure of the complex. So on the basis of the VBT, we can explain the geometry of the complex, and geometry it is tetrahedral. The geometry of the complex, it is tetrahedral. Okay. Now we can also explain the magnetic behavior of the complex. Magnetic behavior. On the basis of the valence bond theory, the magnetic behavior of the complex can be explained. So the magnetic behavior of the complex, in this case, it is, you can see on this arrangement, 2 electrons are unpaired there. 2 electrons are unpaired there. So this complex is paramagnetic. So valence bond theory explain the magnetic behavior of the complex. VBT explain the magnetic behavior of the complex. Not only valence bond theory explain the formation of the covalent bond, but also the valence bond theory explain the geometry of the complex. Valence bond theory explain the stereochemical properties of the complex. Valence bond theory explain the magnetic properties of the complex. So this arrangement shows that there are 2 unpaired electrons. It means that the geometry of the complexity is paramagnetic. The magnetic behavior of the complexity is paramagnetic. Okay. So we can understand so many things about the complex. So thus it is clear that on the basis of the valence bond theory, the bond between the metal and the ligand, it is coordinate covalent bond. The ligands are giving their electrons to the metal. Okay. So when we discuss about the valence bond theory, the assumptions are very, very important one. Okay. The assumptions are very, very important one. These assumptions. Okay. Application of valence bond theory to the complex compound. So once again, I would like to repeat this. The central metal atom or ion makes available number of orbitals. In the example, we have shown that nickel 2 plus ion having 4 vacant orbitals. Okay, 1s and 3p for the formation of the covalent bonds. Okay, the metal orbitals then get hybridized. In case of the NiCl4, hybridization is sp3. So there are 4 vacant orbitals are formed. There are 4 hybrid orbitals are formed. The metal orbitals hybridize to form orbitals of equivalent energy called hybrid orbitals. Then each ligand possesses at least 1 sigma orbital. So hybrid orbital of the metal can be overlapped with sigma orbital of the ligand. Vacant hybrid orbital of the metal overlaps with filled sigma orbital of the ligand and to form the covalent bond. So in case of NiCl4, there is a formation of the 4 covalent bonds, as we have already shown that. Okay. So this assumption of the valence bond theory is a very, very important one. Okay. So you can see here let us take the another example here, the same example, the same coordination number 4. I would like to take the another example here, the coordination number 4, NiCN4. NiCN4, you can see minus. The name of the complex it is tetracyanonickelate. Tetracyanonickelate. Okay, it is nickelate. Second ion, oxidation state of the nickel, it is second. Coordination number is here 4, as like of the NiCl4. In that complex, already it is having coordination number 4. But this complex, it is having the central metal atom, central metal ion undergoes sp3 hybridization. We have already shown that. sp3 hybridization. Okay, sp3 hybridization. We show the arrangement. Once again, I would like to show that final arrangement NiCl4. Okay, it shows sp3 hybridization. So see here, sp3 hybridization final arrangement I would like to show here for this complex ion. Okay, see, so 3d 4s 4p. So in case of nickel 2 plus ion, there are 8 electrons, no? 8 electrons here in the 3d orbital. So let us show that 8 electrons here. Okay, 2 electrons are unpaired, and in these vacant orbitals, the ligands are placing their electrons, and there is a formation of the sigma bond here. Okay, coordinate covalent bond. These are the electrons coming from the ligand. Remember this. The chloro ligands are donating the electron pairs to the metal, and that electrons can be taken into the vacant orbitals. Okay, and hybridization, it is sp3 hybridization. And on the basis of this hybridization, we can explain the geometry of the complex geometry. It is tetrahedral. And we can also explain the magnetic behavior of the complex. It is paramagnetic, as 2 unpaired electrons are there. So magnetic behavior, it is paramagnetic. Okay. So this is about NiCl4. Now in this case also coordination number is 4. So it is expected that the same type of the behavior in this complex also. Same type of the behavior in this complex also. Okay. But let us see now what is the change is here in case of the NiCN4. Does the NiCN4 shows the same type of the hybridization as coordination number is equal to 4? Does the NiCN4 explain NiCN4? It is having paramagnetic behavior because coordination number 4 is there. Same number of the ligands are attached to the nickel, and we can suppose predict the structure here like this. The structure can be predicted in this way. Okay, this NiCN4 like this. So is it correct? We want to explain on the basis of the valence bond theory. Okay, so many questions are here. Okay, if we compare this, so we have to understand about this. Okay, we have to understand about this. So later on I would like to explain this.